Welcome to the debut of Street Stories Unpaved. I'm Mike Montecalvo. I know you've heard of Street Stories. If you've been watching the WPRI 12 Plus app, you've been seeing all of the stories we've had over the last 23 years. But this is going to be a different show. We're going to take about 25 minutes every week to highlight some stories and to give you an idea on how we put these stories together. Now, on TV, you see me all the time, but trust me, there is no way I could do this without my partner here, Johnny Villella, chief videographer. Johnny.
Hi, Mike.
We've been waiting to do this for a long time.
23 years in the making for this podcast to come about.
So I remember the phone call.
Yeah.
So Walt Butone, we'll get to Walt in just a
I'm going to
second.
drink my tea, Mike, because we're on a podcast. we're casual here.
Yeah, it's green tea.
Very casual.
Walt Butone, we'll get to Walt in a second.
Yes.
He was the one that originated this
Yes,
with you.
he was.
But I remember the day that Walt was leaving to go to Florida.
Yep.
He got a phone call from you. He goes, what are you doing for the next, what are you doing for the next 10, 15 years?
Yeah. It was a good phone call. I mean, it was sad because Walt was leaving, but I said, who's the next person up? And there's only one Mike Montecalvo, and I knew you were the right choice for this. I mean, you're well known in the community. Me and you have told stories for a long, long time. We went to the Pope together. We've been together for years. So when I said, who am I going to get to do street stories? Who would be passionate about this? Who wears good suits? Who do the ladies love on the streets? The old ladies love? Mike Montecalvo. Two Italians. This is
true.
This podcast should be called something else, right? But we'll go with it.
And by the way, we have the swag too. Street Stories.
This is
Unpaved.
hot off the press, by the way. Where am I going over here?
Yeah, you can see it.
Joey Cash just delivered these Street Story Unpaved T-shirts, hot off the press. No, you can't buy them. No, we're not selling them, but we're wearing them for the debut of this podcast.
So we thank you
Yes.
for that. By the way, Johnny and I did play-by-play, I don't know if you remember this,
Oh, boy.
of the Jamestown Bridge getting blown
We
up.
did. Wow, how many years ago was that? 20? I don't even know where I am today.
I saw a picture of it. We look a lot younger.
I had hair, no Mets cap.
So that's
and
why
no
he's wearing
beard.
the cap.
Yeah. Went to go see the Mets play on Sunday and Monday. Went to Citi Field to Queens to see them play.
So the big thing is Juan Soto. The crowd really into him.
Yeah, I mean, I felt as if everybody was saying, oh, he doesn't want to be with the team. He doesn't get along with his teammates, blah, 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 blah. He's lackadaisical, but everybody loves him down there. Fans love him. Citi Field, very family-friendly place to see a game at. And Soto's good. I mean, him and Lindor. I mean, the Mets are a good team, and Soto's, I mean, he's top-notch. So it was good. It was a good weekend.
You know, when we
What'd
go
you
out,
do?
when we go out and we're having some fun, whether you're going to a Mets game, you're going to a restaurant, you go into
Yeah.
the supermarket, you're always observing
Of course.
to see,
Of course.
where's the next story coming from.
course.
People will come up to us,
Yes.
especially if they recognize you, and say, I've got this
Yep.
story. Sometimes you got to be polite because
Yeah.
maybe it's not a TV story, maybe
Yeah.
it's not a street story, it's
You're
a
right.
newspaper story.
Yeah.
But whether you're going to a baseball game or
Yeah.
whatever, you got to be observing because stories are out there.
I was on the beach yesterday filming a future street story. We can't tell you what it is, but this woman, I passed by this woman sitting in a chair, and she was like, Johnny? I go, yeah. She goes, are you filming for Street Stories? And I said, I didn't pay you to say that. Okay, I should have rolled on that for a promo. But yeah, people recognize us, and it's good. You know, they realize the stories that we do. They're positive. They're community-based. And I think we need a change for that every once in a while, and that's why we do these stories every week.
All right, let's go back in time.
Yes.
23 years ago, it
Wow.
actually aired at, 11:15 at night on a Friday?
So Street Stories originally aired at 11:15 p.m. on Fridays. We took over for the Not to Be Forgotten segment, which was a tremendous segment with Glenn Laxton and photojournalist Scott Del Sol. So they put us in that time slot, and we were 11:15 for, I'd say, 2 years before we switched over to the 6 p.m. Broadcast, maybe 2 or 3 years. But yeah, we were late night TV, Mike.
There
Yeah.
you are. There's
Oh,
right
goodness.
there.
My goodness.
You're
No
right. You had
beard.
hair back then.
No beard, an XD cam, and hair, Mike.
So we have an advantage today. You have
Yes.
social media.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
talked about people coming up
course,
to you.
of course.
The internet, social media. You didn't have that. You actually seriously got in the car and drove up and down the street looking for stories.
Street Stories, basically what it says. I mean, we had, like you said, no social media. There was nobody calling the station, say, I have a great story for you. No Facebook, no Twitter, no Instagram. We would jump in the car on a Friday morning, go drive around the city, see what we can get, come back, edit it together, and put it on for 11:15 at nighttime.
So you're returning on the
Craziness.
same day.
Same day, but it was. We did a lot of city stories. We did a lot of artists, a lot of graffiti artists, a lot of people that we would see driving by and say, hey, let's pull over and see what they have to say. Let's see what their story is. And that's how it came about. But there was no social media. We're spoiled nowadays. I'm spoiled. I can go and, somebody says, I'll do that story next week. We didn't have that.
Yeah, and one of the things, too, is when you do all these stories, somebody watches. I'll never forget this. We're doing the story of the gentleman who's 100 years old.
Yep.
He owned that store right around the corner from Providence College.
Yeah.
Somebody watched that,
Right.
and they put us on to another
Another story,
of a
another
veteran.
story, another story.
So there's an advantage to that,
Yeah, it's a chain reaction of goodness. That's what I call it. I mean, when people see our stories on Friday night, immediately I'll catch an inbox. Hey, you know that guy? How about this guy? My uncle does this, or my cousin does this. So it's a chain effect.
You know, in the second segment, we're going to break down on how we actually do a story. But I'll never forget the story that we went to. It was two kids. It was my niece. So sometimes you know the person. She lost her dad.
Yeah.
Her friend was playing a basketball tournament, and we went to the house. You could tell the parents were a little apprehensive.
Yeah, they
because
were
thought it
scared.
was going on TV.
Yeah.
They see you.
Yep.
Small world. You played basketball with the father.
I went to high school with Jason Bucco. We went to high school together. We spent 4 years together, and he sees me. Now their nerves calm down a little bit. Okay, I know this guy. I know Mike. I know Johnny. It's going to be okay. They're going to take care of us. And I say this a lot. I don't know how people, we do a story on them. We go and film the story. And then days later, we air it. How in those days where the story isn't aired, they don't call the station and be like, hey, can I see a copy of it? Can I see, what did you guys put together? They trust us. The trust factor of a photojournalist and reporter leaving a scene, leaving their house after an emotional story and them saying, what are they going to do with this story?
And it's how you treat them.
Of course.
It's the questions that you ask.
Yes.
It's how you frame a question, how you shoot a story.
Yeah.
By the way, we're talking about a small world. You went to the Mets game. I was off for 2 weeks. I went to Italy. And, in Sorrento.
What a shock.
Look who I ran into.
Hey, Karen Adams.
Karen Adams.
How does this happen? How are you in Italy at the same moment? I think our promotions department, which James Bartone is in here filming, set this up. How does that happen?
Well, you know, my wife saw her in the lobby, and then my daughter came downstairs. She goes, Karen Adams is upstairs.
There's no way. There's no way.
It was around the 4th of July. It was her birthday. It goes to show you, though, it's a small world. Karen obviously worked here.
Be honest. You called her beforehand, and you said, hey,
no.
I'm going to be in Italy. Could you fly there? And can we take a picture for our new podcast? That's crazy.
So being away for 2 weeks,
Yes.
we decided that we didn't want to skip a week. Yes. And this happens sometimes where if I'm away or something's going on or working on another project, you'll do a story all by yourself.
I will.
It's called a nat pack,
Yes.
Technical terms.
Yeah.
But normally the viewer doesn't see it.
Yep.
This was the first time you featured a dog named Oakley that actually Shannon Heggie found for us.
Shannon Heggie, are we setting up the video here? Shannon Heggie sent us a text on the weekend. You got to do this story on this dog. He sticks his head outside the fence. His name is Oakley. And like you said, you were off that week. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go do the story. A Nat Pack is basically, without reporter track, it's just basically video and sound mixed together. And I put the story together like that. I said to myself, you know what? I'm gonna go on TV this time because this called for me being on camera, having some funny moments. And like we talk about all the time, I think TV, we have a format of how things are during the days and nights, but I want us to be a little bit more off the cuff with the stories. And so I decided to go on camera wearing all black during a 120-degree weather day.
I told you that was smart.
Tony Petrarca.
But it goes to show you too that how you can tell a story through picture and video and music.
Really quick, we shot the Taylor story last week, Rocco, which we'll get to in the next segment. But a customer came in and I was filming, and no word of a lie, he points to me and goes, "Hey, Johnny, you did the Oakley story last week. You did the dog story." So I'm becoming a little bit more famous than Mike Montecalvo. So
one day that'll happen.
We might have to do a solo show with this. I'm going to need the T-shirt back, and we'll go somewhere.
Before we roll it, I say it all the time. I think any story, you want it to be a water cooler story.
Yes.
You want people going to work the next day, going to school, or going to the coffee shop and say, hey, did you watch WPRI 12 last night? Did you see that story? So Oakley was definitely one of them. If you happen to miss it, here it is.
Her name online is Eastside Oakley. She has her own Instagram. We actually got that from Oakley Goggles. We're a ski family.
All right, Montecalvo's on vacation. I think I'll take over Street Stories this week. Our story brings us to Morris Ave and Only Street this week. My good friend and colleague Shannon Heggie said I had to go visit Oakley. I thought it was a pair of sunglasses. It's actually a famous dog on the east side of Providence. Let's go spend some time with her. Why am I wearing all black? 120 degrees out.
How did we come up with this? We decided to cut a hole in our privacy fence and let Oakley see the world. Hi, sweet girl. She must think that people are insane. Is it delicious? I mean, look at me.
How am I miking up a dog, Shannon Haggy? Let's put it on the fence. I don't know how these reporters do these stand-ups in the blazing heat. I have a lot of respect for her.
So we cut her hole in the fence about a year ago.
Hi, Oki. Hi, baby. How are you?
This is fun.
Hi, buddy.
This is fun.
There you are.
It's just been all positivity.
I'm allergic. Don't tell Oakley.
She's usually out there first thing in the morning,
Hi.
and she's usually out in the afternoon.
Hey Oakley, hey puppy.
If she's not out at those times,
Oh, hi Oak.
they're very disappointed.
So cute.
This has been a really nice addition,
Look who it is.
I think, to the neighborhood.
Skipper and Ella, two of her friends.
People feel so much joy when they pass her and see her cute fluffy head just hanging out of the hole. We have people stop by all the time
You know, the dog who sticks his head out through the fence.
to tell us how much it brightens their day. It's really nice that people take the time to greet her. It's your favorite treat that you get through the window. Okay. Oh, it's your microphone. Feel good about it and then let us know how much it changes their morning. We hear the laughter and we see the smiles from our end, but we also get to see her tail wagging on this side. It's just nice to brighten people's days. Sometimes when you live in a city, you don't always get to meet all of your neighbors.
There you go, Oakley. There you go, buddy.
And this has actually been a really great way for people to stop and chat. Sticks or cookies? Okay. That's a wrap. It has been a really nice way for us to meet other people in a positive manner.
Welcome back to Street Stories Unpaved. I'm Mike Montecalvo along with Chief Videographer Johnny Villella. We're in our second block. We talked a little bit in the first one on how we set up a story.
Yeah.
We get the idea of who we're going to feature, what's the story going to be.
Yeah.
We have multiple conversations before we actually get to the place.
Of course, yeah. And then I like to do my B-roll before you get there. It gives you a break so you're not there for hours on end. I'll shoot the video first and then grab all my moments, and then you'll show up and do the interview portion. Then we may grab more moments in between that, but each story is different. Like you talked about, there might be a moment that I catch while you're not there, and that changes the entire sequence of the story of what we start with, of what we finish with, of how your questions are asked, and I'll usually go up to you and be like, hey, I got this, and you may want to ask that.
That's the other thing, too, is, you can do all the research in the world, and when you start asking questions, the best questions, I always say, is the follow-up questions, because somebody could say something that, you could have done an hour of research,
Correct.
and you didn't know what they're going to say, or they get emotional. Sometimes it's impactful when you're just paying attention, you play off of them.
Yeah, I'm always interested in the trust factor between the subject matter and you on the scene. Half the time you know them, by the way, because you're Mike Montecalvo and you know everybody. But, they trust you to do the interview and they open up to you, which is really interesting. As the interview goes on, they get more and more comfortable because your questions, you have a conversational tone with them.
I think the other thing, too, is you don't start asking questions. And this is like for a reporter on any story when you get to the scene, unless you are, you're up against time.
Right.
You kind of break the ice, especially if it's an emotional story.
Yeah.
This one story that we did just this past week, Rocco Vitale,
I love
85 years old. He's going to be 86 in August.
Yeah.
I've known Rocco for 20 years.
What a shock.
Yeah.
Believe it, Karen Resendez is in here. What a shock, Karen. He
said-
knows the tailor that's been there 40 years.
So he's told me forever that he's going to be retiring. So he finally did. So he's closing up shop. And we talked about it. We thought that this would be a great story.
Yeah.
Knowing that a lot of people know Rocco.
I can't believe it. The comments on the story, that's my cousin, that's my uncle. One woman commented, my mother and father met there 40 years ago and they're still married. Like, are you kidding me? That's the type of situation we run into.
Real quick before we show the story. And how
We're already
it
over on
down.
our time, Mike. You're going over, Mike. You're going over.
Real quick. I'm trying on a suit. I can hear a voice on the other end. I said, hey, Chief Tamburini, is that you? The Johnston police chief is getting a suit in the other room. So we knew what we were going to do when we were going to get there. You get the video, and then we want to talk. I knew ahead of time that, Rocco was not going to get emotional.
Right.
And he's really not very talkative.
Yeah.
But you could see it in his eyes, and it's the way you shoot. And when he held his hands, that's when he was, you don't have to cry to get emotional.
I shot that with my phone, by the way. That was a phone shot. That was one of my.
That scene.
That scene was a phone shot where I can get in with the hands, go back up to him. Sometimes you have to. Like we talk about gear and stuff. Sometimes you use a GoPro or a regular camera or a phone, whatever gets the job done for the emotion that's coming towards you.
And we thought it was important. Customers coming in, we asked them if it was okay to put them on camera. They
Dan
said
McGowan.
yes. Dan McGowan was there too from the Globe because we thought that would be important. And this is what we came up with.
Roll the package, Mike.
You probably don't know. 1972. You want to see me doing the hem? But as at the end of this month, I'm retiring. 53 years.
A local tailor who's been part of the fabric of his community for decades is calling it a career. You're too young to retire, you know that? 85-year-old Rocco Vitale
I love it to be this long hair.
has been sewing, stitching,
Ciao.
dry cleaning,
Thank you.
and flat-out tailoring
That's the way you like it.
since leaving Italy in 1958.
Does it
make me look fat?
No,
Check out the sewing machines,
the boat needs zippers.
old school. What's it like being in business for 53 years?
Okay. It became my love.
Rocco's tailoring career started when he worked for Barry Clothing more than 65 years ago. Taylor took a liking to him, and the rest is history.
He says to me, do you like this business? I says, yeah, I do. Well, I'm going to teach you everything I know.
How difficult it is to tailor.
It's really not difficult to when you know what you're doing.
In 1972, he opened his own shop.
2050.
Rocco's customers,
Yeah, 9 and 6.
9 and 6.
everyone from Tony Petrarca. Tony loves this suit, but he can't have it because I have it already. The Globe's Dan McGowan,
Sell it to Mike Montecalvo.
Yeah, he's got enough there.
and everyone in the neighborhood.
Well, you look good.
Rocco, you love your customers. I know that firsthand.
Should be ready, yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Why? They become friends, so you're missing. No, I didn't treat him as just a customer. It's all over, honey. That's why I was able to stay so long.
Rocco, when you look in the mirror, you got to be happy in what you see and
Yeah.
what you accomplished.
Yes. I am happy. Vitalis,
You have good memories.
good memories, yes, indeed. You got to turn it to 3 stories.
It was a pleasure being one of your customers.
Make a book if I knew how to write English.
Would Tony Petrarca be in your book?
I could put it down, but you definitely.
A guri, Rocco. That's best wishes on a well-deserved career. We're Italian. We got a hug, right?
Yes, indeed.
I loved coming here, Rocco. Sometimes I'd come in here and I didn't buy anything. I'd just look at the stuff. I think it was just to see him. And welcome back to Street Stories Unpaved. I'm Mike Montecalvo, along with Chief Videographer Johnny Villella. Over the last 15 minutes or so, we were kind of going down memory lane, kind of telling you how we put stories together for Street Stories, how the ideas that we come up with. But somebody's got to be driving the bus. If you think the two of us are the ones that are driving the bus, that's not the case. We thought it would be a great idea to bring in news director Karen Resendiz to talk a little bit about how a newscast and stories are developed. You know, it's a team effort, Karen, when you really think about it.
Absolutely. I thought I was talking about street stories today.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. So how does the newscast come together? Well,
That's a long story. We don't have time for that. Karen.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we hit the streets just like you guys do.
Yeah. What do you think
All
of the
the time.
stories every week? I'm always interested. Karen always retweets us.
Yep.
Always supports us. What do you think of the stories every week? Does it fit what the broadcast needs, you think?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I think we talk about this all the time, but I feel like there are way more good people in the world than bad.
I agree.
And it's so important that we showcase those people. And you guys were talking about this earlier about how everybody is always giving you story ideas, me included.
Right.
You know, we always look for those. I always think about how this started, and it was people overcoming adversity.
That's right.
And the triumph of the human spirit.
Yep.
And I think, you know, when we go out in the community and we see those stories, you're the first people I think of.
Thank you.
You know, and I'm always sending you story ideas. Everybody is, because we all look forward to it.
Cody Garcia from a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
That was a tremendous story that Karen gave us, and you know, Cody's a great kid, and everybody that story did great. online and on the air.
So Cody was, grew up in Boys Town. He's going to college.
Yep.
He wants to be a manager of a high-end restaurant. We think that that's going to happen. By the way, that story you can see right here on WPRI 12 Plus. Karen, we were talking about storytelling. It's not just the words.
Right.
It's the video. People see us. They see me. They see the reporters that we have. They don't see the people behind the scenes. And the way Johnny framed some of these shots and the video and the music, the gnat sounds, the sounds in the neighborhood, that helps tell the story.
Yeah, Johnny's an artist.
I appreciate that.
I look at a picture that you take. You could take a picture of anything, and it looks like art.
Thank you.
And the storytelling, I watched you. I've seen street stories come together from all different aspects. From the idea phase, from you guys going back and forth and talking about the best ways to tell the story, which people probably don't see. Correct. There's a lot of that happening, and you're crafting the whole thing. And I know you see it in your head before you even walk out to shoot the story.
That's key. That's a key thing you said right there. I actually film the story in my head days before, and then when I go there, I already know what shots I need. And I don't know how people don't do that, because if you just go to a story and wing it, you're going to go back and say, oh, I wish I got that shot, wish I got that shot. So, and like you talked about, you have to bring the viewer in. If you're not bringing them in with natural sounds, they're going to turn the channel off.
And it depends on the story that you're doing. I'll bring notes in, but for street stories, I don't. I try to memorize or at least know what I'm going to ask, because that's not the type of story to have a notepad in front of you. You want to have more of a conversation. But sometimes you do leave and I wish I would ask that question.
Yeah. Well, your stories are all about emotion.
They are.
Right?
They
are. You can't script emotion. You get there because you're telling somebody's story. And usually the people you're talking to, what you're talking to them about is really important to them, and it matters to them. And, you don't want to script it. You want to just kind of hear their stories and react to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it special.
Yeah, I think we had, it was about a month ago, I showed up on one of the shoot before you. I wanted to get some B-roll, and the guy had a list of answers and questions, and I took the list, threw it away. I said, what are we doing? I told him, listen, we're very conversational. I don't want you to think about the answer. I want you to just feel it and come up with it.
And those are the best answers. That makes for best TV. We talked about this has been going on for 23 years. Walt and Johnny are driving around the streets actually looking for stories.
That surprised me a little bit, but doesn't surprise me.
Well, we had no social media at the time. How were we getting a story?
Yeah.
And we were just pulling over. And it's wild to think about how we started off, and now we're spoiled. I'm spoiled with tips coming in.
When you think all the three of us have been here for a very long time.
Yeah.
If you had to, in a nutshell, what has really changed the most for you seeing it as a news director?
Seeing the business?
Yeah, the business, and just, stories in general, and how to tell them.
Well, I don't think the way to tell stories has changed. I think the tools we use change. But I think strong content is strong content, and I think our medium, TV, we can tell stories better than anybody, because we have the ability to capture emotion, to be in the moment, to take people to the scene. You can describe those things in writing, but to actually feel it and see it, and the social media helps you amplify that. You've had things, Johnny, where the tease alone has gone viral.
500,000 views.
Yeah.
We're going to bring Albert in a few weeks. How much time we have left?
He's the barber who does haircuts for kids with sensory.
Yeah, 500,000 views on the teaser. He's going to be in here in a few weeks. Great guy. So
and that's impact.
Huge
think about the impact of that.
Huge impact.
Yeah.
So the stories, there's not enough time in the day for all the stories, and sometimes you feel bad that you can't get a story on the air for someone, but we just
the first hour of that teaser was like 100,000, 200,000. I was like, wow. And I went to you and you said the impact that he's having on the community doing that for parents is what bringing those numbers up and the viewership. So
and he lives it every day.
He does live it.
And then there's video to back it up too.
Yeah,
so
perfect story.
Video
He'll be in here in a few weeks. Albert
Nice.
Martinez. So.
Excellent.
Well, Karen, thank you for
Karen.
being part of
You're
our debut
welcome.
show.
Debut,
I am
yeah.
honored, and I love the shirts.
All right, Johnny, you
It's
gotta get
amazing.
I have one for Karen. in
I
the
love
bag.
it. I love it.
Yep,
and
we got the merchandise going.
awesome. You're the only one who would get me to go on camera. So
Thank you. I
props
appreciate
to
that.
you.
Karen and Mike anchoring. I'm waiting for that show. I will be taping that.
Is that going to be a street story?
It will be
if
a
we
street
do that.
story.
Yeah.
By the way, if anybody, if you're watching and you have any ideas, you can email us or inbox us on social media. We'd be more than happy. We get back to, just so you know, this is a promise. We get back to everybody.
We do.
Whether we can shoot the story or not, because we think that's important to know that we appreciate. You know what? I say this all the time. It's an honor to go into somebody's house. They have so many opportunities to watch so many stations, and for them to turn us on, I think that's a privilege. I've been saying that forever.
Thank you for trusting
we
us.
take that seriously.
We do. Yep.
So
Wrap it up, Montecalvo.
even though he's wearing a New York Mets hat.
Hey, listen.
Well, New York in general.
Yeah,
should
well,
not have those.
easy.
No, Boston all the way. All the way.
All they're gonna say is put a Red Sox
Yeah.
hat. Get that guy a Red Sox hat.
I will.
I can already feel it.
All right, that's going to do it for this week. We'll see you next time.